Okay, so the Redmi Turbo 5 is shaping up to be a pretty solid phone. Top-level display, solid performance, great battery life and charging speeds, and a pretty dependable set of cameras. All of this starting at 35,999 rupees. Now that's a pretty solid deal. But then there's the OnePlus Nord 6, the undisputed performance king in the mid-range segment. Starting at 42,999 rupees, it is a bit expensive, but so far it has been a total value for money package if you are after top-notch performance on a budget. So how do these two compare? We're putting them head to head. So buckle up, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's start with the design. The Nord 6 looks futuristic thanks to this holographic ribbon design on a Quicksilver variant. But it's mostly plastic. Plastic back, plastic frame. It feels like a compromise, especially the back, which is a proper fingerprint magnet. The Turbo 5 though looks and feels premium thanks to a glass sandwich design. Reinforced glass on the back hides fingerprints really well, and there's an aluminium frame in the middle. And for a touch of flair, the Turbo 5 also has LED lights around the camera lenses, reacting to your music, notifications and even gameplay. Looks awesome. The Nord though comes with this extra plus key, which can be super useful. Now the Turbo 5 weighs just 204 grams and is just 8.18 mm thin. Pretty impressive. The OnePlus is a tad bulkier, weighing 217 grams and coming in at 8.5 mm thick. Durability wise, both go toe to toe. IP66, IP68, IP69 and IP69K the works. For protection, the Turbo 5 gets Gorilla Glass 7i, while the Nord 6 gets OnePlus's own Crystal Guard glass. Connectivity is pretty much sorted on both. IR blasters, Bluetooth 6.0, Wi-Fi 7 and a USB 2.0 rated Type-C port. You don't get option for an eSIM on either. Displays are where things get interesting. The Nord 6 has a 6.78-inch panel, the Turbo 5 a 6.59-inch one. But since the Turbo is smaller, it edges ahead on pixel density, 460 ppi versus the Nord's 450. Both are LTPS panels, but the Nord goes up to a massive 165Hz. Which really shows in gaming. The Turbo does a solid 120Hz. Peak brightness is close to 3500 nits on the Turbo, 3600 on the Nord. Outdoors both do well, though the OnePlus looks a touch brighter. But where the Turbo 5 pulls ahead is color. Both handle HDR well, but the Turbo also supports Dolby Vision and shows over 68 billion colors versus the Nord's 1 billion. That's the difference between a 12-bit and a 10-bit panel. HDR content, especially on Netflix, really pops on the Turbo. Audio-wise, both have loud stereo speakers with an ultra or extra loud mode, which basically is just marketing speak for peak loudness. When maxed out, I felt the Nord sounds better with more clarity and character. Now performance. The OnePlus Nord 6 comes with Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. The Turbo 5 runs MediaTek's Dimensity 8500 Ultra, a slightly overclocked version of the standard Dimensity 8500. Both go up to 256 GB of UFS 4.1 storage and 12 GB RAM, but the OnePlus uses regular LPDDR5X while the Turbo gets higher clocked LPDDR5X Ultra. So the benchmark should be really interesting. In AnTuTu, the OnePlus scored 2.36 million versus the Turbo's 2.12 million, which is pretty respectable. In Geekbench, multi-core scores are somewhat close, but the Snapdragon edges ahead on single core. In 3D Mark Time Spy, stability is more or less similar, but again, the Snapdragon pulls ahead on raw scores. That said, day-to-day both feel equally snappy. Scrolling through social media, multitasking, switching apps, everything is buttery smooth. Gaming is where the gap starts to show. The Turbo 5 holds a solid 120Hz in BGMI, averaging 116.6 FPS over half an hour. The Nord 6, with that 165Hz display and AI frame generation, just walks all over it, hitting 162.8 FPS. Both manage heat well. The bigger OnePlus has an edge in raw thermals, but the Turbo isn't far behind. After half an hour of BGMI, the difference between them was just half a degree Celsius. Pretty commendable. On software, both run Android 16 out of the box, HyperOS 3 on the Turbo, OxygenOS 16 on the Nord. Both are feature-packed, highly customizable and loaded with AI tools. Both feel smooth and snappy, but for me, OxygenOS feels a touch more polished. HyperOS 3's latest update is solid, but OxygenOS's animations feel a bit smoother, things feel more organically arranged and customization feels deeper. The Turbo also comes with more bloatware, which costs at some points. I think OnePlus uses AI better, like with Mindspace, but that's just my preference. Yours might differ. Both phones get 4 years of OS updates and 6 years of security patches. Now, cameras. Both get a 50 megapixel main camera with an 8 megapixel ultra-wide, very similar setups. The detail and sharpness from the main camera are close, but processing differs. The OnePlus goes punchier with an HDR-heavy look that can feel a bit over-processed, aggressively lifting shadows. The Redmi looks more balanced and natural. Same story in ultra-wide, though detail is limited on both given the 8-megapixel sensors. In low light, same tuning differences. The Turbo leans warm, Nord goes cooler. In telephoto, we see a real gap. The Turbo 5 tops out at 10x zoom, the Nord goes up to 20x. For video, both top out at 4K 60, but the Turbo also shoots at HDR10+. We tested at 4K 60 with standard stabilization. Colors are better on the Redmi, but you do get some jitters every now and then. The OnePlus is more muted but buttery smooth. Both shoot portrait video, but only at 1080p 30fps. For selfies, the Turbo gets a 20-megapixel sensor versus 32-megapixel on the Nord, and only the Nord has autofocus. The Turbo leans more natural, while the OnePlus has a slight reddish tint, but is sharper thanks to that 32-megapixel sensor. For selfie video, the Turbo caps at 1080p 60fps, while the Nord goes up to 4K 30fps. For the battery, the Turbo 5 comes with a massive 7540 mAh battery, but the Nord 6 an even bigger 9000 mAh battery. So while you can easily get about 7 to 8 hours of screen on time from the Turbo, the Nord will give you 8 to 10 hours or about 3 days of usage. Charging flips things around. The Turbo supports 100-watt hypercharge and goes 0 to 100% in about an hour. The Nord's 80-watt SuperVOOC takes about an hour and a half for that bigger battery. Both support 27-watt reverse wired charging too. So which one should you buy? If raw performance is your priority and you have the money to spare, it's pretty simple. The Nord 6 is the faster phone. It wins on benchmarks and gaming, OxygenOS feels more refined, and that huge battery makes it easy to recommend. But the Turbo 5 feels like the more premium phone. Plus, starting at ₹35,999, it packs quite the punch. The glass and metal build is miles ahead of the Nord's plastic build. The display has richer colors, the camera shoots more natural photos, and that 100-watt charging just makes life easier. That's what makes this comparison interesting. The Nord 6 is the better performance-focused value package, whereas the Turbo 5 is the better all-rounder. So if I spend most of my time gaming, I'd pick the Nord 6. But for a phone that feels premium every day with better multimedia and more natural cameras, and for pure value, the Turbo 5 is pretty awesome. Either way, you're getting a pretty solid phone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.